My name is Lillian Govis, Buncombe County Director of Communications and Public Engagement. This is your community briefing for Wednesday, February 5th. And with FCC Environmental reporting 100% collection rates for trash and recycling, my neighbors in Swannanoa should have their cans out today. If you have not yet applied for FEMA assistance, you'll want to listen up. FEMA is extending their deadline to apply for disaster assistance to March 8th, which, believe it or not, is just a month away. FEMA has distributed more than $114 million to survivors here in Buncombe County since the storm hit. So don't miss out on this really critical financial support. By applying, you can get assistance with home repairs, security deposits, utility costs, moving and storage costs, replacement for work tools you lost in the storm, and more. You can even apply if you don't have immediate needs. This gets your name into the system. So if you do have storm-related needs down the line that get identified, you can get the assistance that you need. To apply, visit disasterassistance.gov. You can also get in-person disaster assistance at the disaster recovery centers. There are two in Buncombe County right now. One is at the Fairview Library, and the other is at Weaverville Town Hall. These are open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. They are working to establish a new central location since the closure at the Asheville Mall location, and we'll share that as soon as it's finalized. The deadline to apply for disaster unemployment assistance was also extended to March 10th, and you can apply for that at des.nc.gov. Of course, all of these links you can find on our website at buncombeready.org. All of this can be a lot to sort through, but we launched a new website where folks can stay informed throughout the recovery process. At Buncombe Recovers, you'll find everything from progress updates, recovery resources, to information on debris cleanup, rebuilding efforts, and disaster assistance programs. Think of this as your one-stop shop for all things recovery. This website will be a critical hub for the community to share feedback about revitalization priorities in the future. We don't have that up yet, but we do encourage you to visit the site at engage.buncombecounty.org/Buncombe Recovers. And I know that our team is adding that into the Facebook chat as a link. So subscribe there to receive updates, and we will email those directly to you. We are sad to report that we do not have the Fallout Boy guy or Clay Chandler here today, but we do have Deborah Campbell, Asheville City Manager, and Jess Foster, Asheville Sanitation Division Manager here. We also have Dave Connolly, Public Affairs Director for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. He's back to give us some pretty exciting debris updates. The U.S. Army Corps has been here on the ground since October 12th. And to date, their contractor has collected more than 900,000 cubic yards of debris from public rights of way. The Army Corps is tasked by FEMA, which works directly with the Buncombe County and North Carolina State Emergency Management. Avril is not here today, so we'll just go ahead and jump into some general updates. Next week, we are going to begin our Resources for Recovery community series. So if you're a Helene survivor and would like to learn more about assistance available to you, these Resources for Recovery events taking place in February will get you directly connected to resources. At these events, you can drop in and talk with county, state, federal representatives, also our partners from the American Red Cross, Medicaid, FEMA, permits and inspections, planning, library, parks, natural resources, storm debris removal, mental health resources, and more. You can drop in anytime between 5 and 7 at the following dates and locations. The first one is taking place next week on Thursday, February 13th at the Barnersville Fire Station. We'll also be at Owen High School in the cafeteria on February 20th, the Reynolds High School cafeteria on February 25th, and on Thursday, February 27th at the Lester Community Center. This is a really great opportunity to learn more about key resources and have those one-on-one conversations. Some examples of what that may look like. Our Buncombe County Register of Deeds will be there, and they can print birth certificates if you lost yours in the storm. The American Red Cross will be there sharing new information about financial support for survivors. Legal Aid of North Carolina will be there providing some free legal counsel on FEMA claims, appeals, insurance denials, and housing needs. Even our Buncombe County Library Services will be there to print library cards. Whether you lost yours or you just want to get one for the first time, you can do that at these. And our Buncombe County Mobile Health Unit will be there offering vaccines and basic health services like blood pressure screenings. We also have another state resource designed to help folks navigate recovery from the storm so you don't have to do it alone. The North Carolina Disaster Case Management Program supports Buncombe County residents affected by Helene. So think of this as like your white glove concierge service. This pairs you one-on-one with a dedicated case manager who will be your go-to guide. So everything from FEMA to all of the other resources that are available, they'll help you navigate that every step of the way. So you can get started by calling 844-746-2326 or fill out the North Carolina Disaster Case Management Intake Survey, which is on the ncdps.gov/Helene/DCM, or you can just get that all at buncombeready.org. We are super happy to share that our community engagement markets are resuming today. For years, these markets have been a vital resource for our neighbors. But in the aftermath of Helene, we had to pause those because we had shifted all of our staff to emergency response, but also because Manna Food Bank lost their primary location. So getting these markets back up and running really feels like a big milestone in our recovery. These community engagement markets offer free food, and they're set up so that you can shop. It's not just getting a box of food and maybe you don't like onions and you've got a lot of onions in your box. You can actually go in and shop for the foods that appeal to you and your family and what you need the most. And shop is a term that we use, but it's all for free. So whatever you choose is what you will take with you. We also partner with our mobile health units and provide information about Helene recovery, mortgage, rental, and weatherization assistance at these markets, along with other resources directly to help folks where they are, meeting them where they are. The market today will be at Aston Park Tower from 3 to 4 p.m. And then on Friday, we'll be at the Fairview Library, which is a disaster recovery center and private property debris removal intake center from 3 to 4. We're going to be outside for that market so that folks can still go inside and get those services. Additional monthly market locations include Big Ivy, Shiloh, Candler, Pisgah View, and more. And so you can find that full schedule. I think we have about 13 to 15 every month at buncombecounty.org/community engagement. As we shared earlier, FEMA is continuing to assist Western North Carolina residents impacted by Helene. Residents participating in the Transitional Sheltering Assistance or TSA program are receiving temporary hotel stays as they work towards securing permanent housing. TSA will remain available through May 26 for those who meet the eligibility requirements with ongoing regular reviews. The program's goal is to help individuals return home or transition to longer-term housing, as those approved for TSA do not currently have a safe permanent place to stay. If you've been notified of a change in your eligibility or need assistance, call 1-800-621-3362 or visit one of those disaster recovery centers at the Fairview Library or the Weaverville Town Hall. FEMA has shared with us that as temporary shelter assistant populations are decreasing, the really good news is that the rental assistance numbers are increasing. And this shows a positive housing transition for residents as they move from hotel rooms to more long-term solutions like apartments and rental units. Our community care stations are continuing to operate. Showers, laundry, bottled water, and more are available at our most impacted communities daily from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So Bethel United Methodist Church, Fairview Ingalls, and Morgan Hill Baptist Church are still operating daily, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Owen Pool, we shifted the weekend operations from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So Monday through Friday, they're 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. But that's only for the Owen Pool location. We don't have any other changes to report at this time. As folks likely know, especially those with little ones, it is flu season, and we are seeing an uptick in that. And it's also a time when we're seeing an uptick in avian flu. And last week, we shared the sad news about a deceased waterfowl at Lake Julian Park that had a preliminary positive test for H5N1, or better known as bird flu. Park staff have identified a total of 8 deceased waterfowl at Lake Julian, and additional test results are pending. The park remains open, and it is not uncommon for this flu to be, it is not common for this flu to be spread to humans or their pets, but we do have some important safety guidelines for park visitors. Signs like the one that you see have been posted at some of our parks, and we ask that you avoid touching or feeding waterfowl, stay away from sick or dead birds, and wash your hands regularly. This is, of course, important for any type of flu. If you do see a dead or sick bird at any of our parks, please let one of our park rangers know. Out of an abundance of cautions, we place these signs at the entrance to Owen Park. And in the short time that I was there on Saturday, dozens of people came to the park despite the closed gate and the big banner stating the closure. We need to be extremely clear. Owen Park is closed because it is not safe. Do not go around the gate. Do not go around the fencing. The ground is unstable and the trees have not been assessed. Owen Park is not safe. Wrapping up with some good news. In the aftermath of the storm, we've been realizing its impact to the county's current fiscal year budget. At last night's meeting, the Board of Commissioners approved a budget amendment accepting more than $2 million of Hurricane Helene disaster relief funds from the state to restore full service delivery for school nurses and the animal shelter. These reductions were part of the county's earlier expenditure reduction plan, and we certainly heard from our community about how important it was to maintain school nurses, like we said, it's flu season, and our animal shelter. So we're very grateful to receive these dollars earmarked for public health storm relief. To celebrate her 8-year adoptiversary yesterday, here's a picture of my shelter dog Pork Chop on top of Lookout Mountain. So with that, we will turn things over to Dave Connolly with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to give us our exciting debris update, along with some good high action debris videos.
Thank you, Lillian. I do hope this is as exciting for everybody as she made it out to be, but I believe it is. As you all know, as Lillian pointed out, yeah, we, the Corps of Engineers, have been here since October, and we're just happy to be here to really support the local government, like the county, Buncombe County, and our state partners, as well as working, as Lillian pointed out, through our tasks that were given through FEMA. So I'm going to talk specifically about debris because, you know, when we started out early on, we had 3 areas which we worked in, and one was power. Obviously, that's the first thing during a disaster, and you know that came and went, and then we did a lot of infrastructure assessments to really determine what was needed. So there's a lot of back end work to some of the things we do that people may not see, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So to hit on what you've seen to date, mostly in the area of debris is what's called right-of-way debris, and that's still ongoing. Like to date, if you recall, we were initially tasked by FEMA for 1 million cubic yards of debris to be removed. That changes over time. So right now we're tasked with over 2 million cubic yards of debris to be removed. And that's not just here in Buncombe County. That's across all the affected areas, to include, Lake Lure and other counties that have been impacted. And to date, we're looking at, and the numbers change frequently, but right now we're over 1 million cubic yards of debris removed, and also approximately 156,000 tons of soil, right? And if you have to kind of put that in your head as a visual, that's about equivalent to over 72,000 dump trucks worth, right? And there's still work to be done. So that's what you've been seeing so far. And as you may have heard, we've just now begun what two other areas in debris, which is waterway and private property debris removal. And those are two complex tasks, right? There's a lot of work, like I said, that's done prior to what you're going to see as it begins. We're excited to be at the point where we're actually getting equipment out and you're able to see it, and these waterways are starting to get cleaned up. But the back end work is, first we have to get tasked by FEMA. Then you have to get these applications in, right? And it's a lot of work by everybody to get all the rights of entry worked out, so we don't just drive on everybody's private property. But again, you don't see that. There's a lot of people that have been working very hard for months now, and finally to be at the point where you're going to see, like today out at Swannanoa in the river with these really cool specialized pieces of equipment getting after whatever's in that waterway. And our goal basically is to pick up whatever we can as safely and as efficiently as possible, right? So I think we're going to get to, on the screen, you're seeing some just regular backhoe looking things, but there's also a piece of equipment that has been brought in that I'm trying to find the name of it. It's actually called a forwarder, and it actually operates in the water to pick up the debris. There it is right there. It's called a forwarder, and it's I got a note here on it. I can't find it right now, but you can see that is going to be seen out throughout all these waterways. So again, be safe when you're out there. Bear with us, but our job again is to get this debris removed as quickly as we can. And then there's also beginning today, or it's actually been going on a couple of days now, is that private property debris removal. And that's for folks who can't, as right-of-way debris removal is ongoing. There's also if you can't get your private property debris removed on your own for whatever reason, you can sign up for that. And I think the county's got some information they can put out on exactly how you can do that. And then that, again, very complex, right? Because if you got 10 people and 8 people sign up and 2 people don't, you got to be careful to respect everybody's rights to get the job done without damaging anybody else's private property. So with that, I'll be standing by for questions afterward. But again, I'm excited that you're actually going to be able to see, get back to some sort of recovery and normalcy around here. And we're just happy to be a part of it. And I want to thank the county for having me here, and our state partners, as well as FEMA. Thank you.
Great. Dave referenced the private property debris removal program. And if you haven't applied already and you need that help, we have intake centers at Barnersville Fire Department Station 15, Swannanoa Fire and Rescue there on Beatree, Fairview Library, which is co-located with the FEMA Disaster Recovery Center, and the Black Mountain Library. And so you can find those hours, you can apply online and get details 24/7 at buncombeready.org. Of course, can't stress enough, if you see these crews, these contractors for the Army Corps out in our waterways, please give them a lot of space so that they can be safe as they are working on those operations. We know that it's very exciting that the waterways are beginning to be cleared, but this does not mean that they are safe for water recreation activities. And that can't be emphasized enough. This is the beginning of a process, but a process that will take a long time for us to get to where our waterways are safe for those recreational activities that we really enjoy around here. So moving on, we have City Manager Deborah Campbell.
Thank you, Lillian, and good morning As was noted, my name is Deborah Campbell, and I serve as the City Manager of Asheville. As usual, I want to start by thanking everyone in the community for your continued support and your ongoing efforts to contribute to our community's recovery from Tropical Storm Helene. We are on day 133 of our emergency response and recovery efforts. Today, the city team will have updates on this past weekend's Serving Up Love charity tennis event, more on storm debris removal specific to the city of Asheville, and some upcoming community engagement activities. First, I want to start with a quick follow-up to an event I mentioned at last week's briefing. The Stars Serving Up Love charity tennis event presented by Explore Asheville at the Harris Cherokee Center, Asheville, that was held this past Sunday. It was truly an amazing event. It was inspiring to see so many people come out to support our community. The event raised over $1 million, which will be distributed to local area nonprofits, including Always Asheville Fund, Asheville Area Habitat for Humanity, United Way of Buncombe County, Asheville Tennis Association. The City of Asheville's Community and Regional Entertainment Facilities Department, I know that's a mouthful, are to be commended for hosting a first-rate event that was worthy of the national attention it received. Our esteemed Mayor Esther Manheimer also participated and sat in the big chair as a chair umpire. I want to also commend and give a shout out to Detective Sergeant Charles Wells, APD Public Information Manager Samantha Booth, and AFD Fire Engineers Matt Balance and Lauren McAdam, who competed against one another for bragging rights and the right to play a match with the pro athletes. The fire department team, made up of Matt and Lauren, won the match against APD, as well as an opportunity to play with pros Andy Roddick and Emma Navarro. Maybe next time, APD. I'll now turn it over to Sanitation Manager Jess Foster from our Public Works Department, who will give a fairly detailed update on storm debris removal within the city of Asheville.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. As she said, I'm Jess Foster, Sanitation Division Manager with Public Works for the City of Asheville. I'm going to talk a lot about debris removal that's going on in the city right now. So I'm going to start with right-of-way collection. As of today, over 300,000 cubic yards of storm debris and over 50,000 tons of mud and silt have been collected from the right-of-way and public properties across Asheville. These numbers highlight the city's commitment to restoring public spaces and infrastructure. In December of 2024, contractors assessed the remaining storm debris in the right-of-way to guide priorities for our next phase of collection. The second pass of debris removal has begun and will address remaining storm debris in difficult-to-access areas, including debris that may be under power lines, near structures, or on narrow roads. They'll also be collecting more debris as residents are setting out what they have left on their properties. Once the second pass is complete, a third phase will begin. This phase will be the final sweep to collect any remaining storm debris, ensuring that streets and neighborhoods are clear. At some point, there will be a date that we give to residents, and we say, this is your last date to place debris out at the curb, and then the final pass will begin. So we will make sure that everyone knows that date once we have it. Contractors are also removing dangerous leaning trees and hanging limbs from the right-of-way and public spaces. So trees are considered eligible for removal if they meet any of the following criteria. They're leaning at least 30 degrees, they have a split trunk, or they possess a broken canopy that threatens the right-of-way or infrastructure. Additionally, contractors are documenting stumps that are in need of removal. Stump removal will be among the last debris materials collected due to the labor-intensive process required for their breakdown and removal. Storm debris that was placed in black trash bags shortly after the storm was collected, and it was collected separately due to the unknown contents in the bags. This collection was completed on January 31st, 2025, and any debris placed at the curb in black trash bags moving forward will not be collected. So I'm going to talk a little bit about private property debris removal, or PPDR now. As of January 29th, we've seen over 445 residential and 40 commercial property owners in Asheville that have submitted applications for PPDR. I'm happy to share that PPDR began yesterday, February 4th. Applications for private property debris removal, including demolition of unsafe structures and slab removal, will continue to be available online at intake centers, as Lillian mentioned earlier. After applications are received, inspectors will conduct a site visit with property owners to finalize the right of entry process. Once this is complete, the property then goes to the Army Corps to be included in their scope of work. A representative of the Army Corps or their contractor will notify property owners ahead of time as to when work will begin on their property. For waterway debris removal, the City of Asheville is working in partnership with Buncombe County, FEMA, and the Army Corps of Engineers. The removal of storm debris from Asheville's waterways began on February 1st, 2025, following the completion of FEMA's Environmental Planning and Historic Preservation, also known as EHP, review. Contractors will take great care to minimize the environmental impact of waterway debris removal through the following measures. They'll minimize habitat disruption by using smaller, more precise equipment in sensitive ecosystems to reduce habitat disturbance. They will protect water quality by using silt fences, barriers, and other sediment control devices to prevent pollutants from entering the water. They will avoid active breeding seasons and follow guidance for endangered or protected species to help protect local wildlife. They will utilize temporary stabilization techniques for erosion control, such as cutting trees at the stump and leaving the root ball in place. Removal methods will be adjusted based on the specific characteristics of each waterway to minimize environmental impacts while ensuring necessary debris clearance. And lastly, there will be ongoing consultation with environmental agencies to ensure compliance with regulations and the incorporation of best practices for habitat preservation and environmental stewardship. For updates on waterway debris removal efforts, continue to check the city's website or contact the One Buncombe hotline at 828-250-6100. Okay, debris removal at public facilities and parks. Our contractors are actively working to remove storm debris from our parks and public facilities in an effort to get them open soon. Debris operations in parks includes removing vegetation, mud, silt, and hazardous trees, limbs, and uprooted stumps. City-owned buildings and other structures within the parks are being assessed as part of the ongoing rebuilding process. Cleanup and removal of these structures and the associated debris will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis, but will not necessarily be removed in the debris cleanup phase. Storm debris removal at Riverside Cemetery began on February 1st, and contractors have been directed to remove hanging limbs and tree material that does not involve contact with root balls or other artifacts. The large root balls in the cemetery will require archaeological inspection and clearance before any removal work can be completed. Debris that is tagged as particularly sensitive will require that an archaeologist be on site during the duration of the removal process. The city's municipal golf course is a registered historic site, and as such, it requires special consideration during the debris removal process. The city is coordinating with the North Carolina State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO, and with FEMA to inspect the property and provide guidance on debris removal to contractors. The city will continue to coordinate with our partner agencies to carefully plan and coordinate the archaeological and environmental inspections. Once the city is notified from the contractor that debris removal is complete in a park, we will do a final walkthrough to ensure that the area is approved and ready for use. These efforts ensure that our public spaces, including historic sites and recreational areas, are restored as efficiently and carefully as possible. Okay, I'm going to talk a little about titled property now. In September and October of 2024, search and rescue teams documented 987 vehicles and vessels impacted by the storm within city limits. This included titled property such as vehicles, boats, campers, and trailers. And most of those were in the waterway. There are currently only around 80 vehicles still located in the waterways. Debris contractors will be engaged to retrieve and document these vehicles and vessels, and then these vehicles will be transported to contracted towing facilities or a central holding location, and a formal notification process will be carried out in compliance with legal requirements. We do have storm debris removal contracting opportunities available. The city is committed to assisting our local businesses as they recover from Helene. The Asheville Business Inclusion Office, or ABI office, has partnered with Ashbrit, our debris contractor, to create contracting opportunities for local small businesses. Currently, 9 local businesses are actively contracted with Ashbrit for debris removal efforts. The ABI office will continue to work with local businesses to connect them with contracting opportunities. Local businesses that are seeking more information can email Marcus Kirkman at abi@asheville.nc.gov. The city recognizes that collaboration with nonprofit organizations is essential to an effective and inclusive recovery process, ensuring that recovery efforts are community-driven and comprehensive. The city continues to work closely with Buncombe County, FEMA, and the Army Corps to establish eligibility and logistical considerations for nonprofits to contribute to debris removal. This coordination ensures that nonprofit involvement aligns with the established guidelines for effective and efficient recovery operations. To streamline this collaboration, Cassandra Lohmeyer from Buncombe County has been designated as the dedicated liaison for nonprofit coordination. Cassandra's role will be to facilitate communication between nonprofit organizations, FEMA, USACE, contractors, and both the city and county. This will ensure all partners remain aligned and are able to maximize their contributions to the recovery process. For more information or to get involved, please call 828-250-6100. Community members who would like to stay up to date on storm debris removal efforts can subscribe to updates by visiting the Asheville Recovers Engagement Hub at www.publicinput.com/Asheville Recovers. And lastly, I would like to take a moment to thank Buncombe County staff who have worked in close coordination with us to streamline storm debris removal, ensuring efficient resource allocation and comprehensive cleanup across shared jurisdictions. This collaboration has enabled the alignment of debris resources, maximizing the impact of recovery initiatives. I'll now turn things back over to City Manager Deborah Campbell. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess, for your leadership, and to all who have been involved in this critical part of our city and region's recovery. I'll wrap up now with just a few thank yous and invitations. First, I'd like to thank all the community members who participated in the city's Helene Recovery Priorities Survey. We had just over 6,800 participants. Staff is currently analyzing the input and will have an overview of the results prepared for the City Council retreat that is scheduled on February 13th and 14th. The results from the survey, as well as the input received at a workshop for Asheville Board and Commission chairs, will directly inform discussions and help to guide decisions on Council's recovery priorities in the coming year. We also understand needs will continue to evolve as we move through recovery. Reflective of that need, the city is excited to partner with the Asheville Area Chamber of Commerce, Buncombe County, Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina, Explore Asheville, and others to launch a business response survey. The purpose of the survey is to understand the storm's impact specifically on businesses across the region. The survey will provide valuable information specific to businesses' needs and will help shape our economic recovery strategies. For more information, please visit the Chamber's website at ashevillechamber.org. And finally, the City of Asheville is requesting more specific community input on unmet needs as we recover from Helene. This feedback will help to inform the city's action plan for the $225 million Community Development Block Grant for Disaster Recovery Funds, often referred to as CDBGDR funds. Community engagement events for the month of February will begin next week. Visit publicinput.com/CDBG-DR for a complete list of upcoming community input and information sessions where you can learn more and share your voice. In closing, I promise you, in closing, I'd like to extend my continued thanks to the mayor and city council, all of our dedicated City of Asheville employees, our other partners in the county, state, and federal government, as well as our private and nonprofit partners who continue to work tirelessly on recovery efforts. I will now turn it over to Lillian.
Thank you. Before we go to questions from the media who are on that Zoom link, I do want to make sure folks know, yesterday we sent out an alert about a wildfire in the Lester community in on Peapeye Cove Road. That wildfire has been 100% contained at this time. So many thanks to all of the responding agencies who supported the Lester Fire Department on that to help keep the community and those structures safe. With that, questions from the media. I'm looking at Catalina to see if we have anything in the chat. Catalina's shaking her head. No John Boyle? Perhaps he's resting. This would be the first. Okay, we do have a question. All right. It's for Dave. Dave is excited about a question. He wanted to make sure everyone knew that we are using, that the Army Corps is working with all applicable regulatory agencies.
No, what it was, I was looking for the note, and I think it was covered by the city. The fact that the equipment is all environmentally friendly, if you will, right? So just so folks know. All right, question? Yeah, please repeat that again.
Debris.
Are we talking waterway debris or, 'cause it's not ringing a bell that,
Patty Gibbs.
And that is a question for the City of Asheville. And so Jess is going to come back up. That is the North Fork Reservoir, the debris from the storm that's outside of the reservoir that is an impact there.
So FEMA and the Army Corps have been engaged in some evaluations of the debris at the reservoir, watershed, and water supply system area. And we're still in discussions with FEMA on what that debris removal process will look like. So more updates coming soon.
Hey, Lillian, I do have a question. It's Will Hoffman from the Citizen Times.
Hey, Will.
I know Clay isn't here today, but I do know that some local schools, I think maybe ACS schools, so this may be a question for just the city, are still giving kids bottled water. And I was wondering, just what the plan was there and kind of what the what the plan is for those city schools.
I see city manager walking this way. I did hear in our EOC briefing this morning that all schools are back up 100% with potable water. However, in response to the storm, we delivered a lot of bottled water to all of the schools. And so there's an abundance of bottled water on hand at those locations, but all schools, both in the city and the county, have been restored to potable drinking water. Anything you'd like to add? I got the thumbs up.
Great.
That was on the response.
Cool. I have one more question, and it's going back to Dave from Army Corps. It's probably a pretty easy one. I've seen some confusion online regarding the Army Corps' presence in, generally speaking, in Western North Carolina since the storm. And from what I understand, the Army Corps has been here since October and doing work since October. And that has not changed with the new change in administration, right?
No, that is correct. We've been on the grounds from the beginning. Like right now, we've got at least personally from our from the task force that Colonel Morgan, my boss, the Wilmington District Commander, is in charge of. There's remaining right now over 200 in strength of just Army Corps and their organic personnel, not to mention the contractors. But what I would try to point out earlier too, is a lot of the work that's being done too is not as visual as what you're starting to see. That's why we're excited to be at the place we are now. So you're actually seeing that heavy equipment in the waterways. You should have been seeing a lot of the trucks, the contracted vehicles moving up and down the roadway, doing all this right away. But again, yeah, we've been here and we're going to be here until our task is complete. And I think Colonel Morgan stated that from the very beginning. And again, it's a total partnership, right? We're just here happy to support all the great work that's you heard from the city, you heard from the county, the state. There's a lot going on and we're just a small part of it, but we've been here. Nothing has changed with the new administration. Obviously, there was an executive order signed, which to expedite things. That's great. That's helpful. But nothing has changed. We've been here. We've done a lot of work. I already went over the numbers of the right of way, and that just augments what's been done by the local community here too. That answer your question?
Yeah, I think for the most part, with the executive order aspect, I saw some discussion about this as well. Has that expedited any Army Corps processes, or is that more of like a directional, hey, we want to expedite things? Because that's how I interpreted it.
I don't think it changes the processes. It may, right now, as General Hibner had stated yesterday, it's something that we have to look at. What are we being tasked with? Work with FEMA to ensure that whatever the executive order reads, that we're able to do it. But it's helpful to remove any obstacles to get us to where we're at. But with what you're seeing in the waterways, that really hasn't changed. Like I said, a lot of that work was being done on the back end that nobody could really see visually. And now we're just for that particular area in Buncombe County, we're still at the point of now it's time to get the equipment out there, right? So it's to be determined exactly how that executive order is going to affect our processes, but to date, doesn't change processes. It just helps us expedite and surge as the President of the United States directed.
So a little bit on that process, storm hit September 27th. Army Corps was on the ground in early October, not just working on restoration of the water system, but also public debris cleanup. The Army Corps is tasked by FEMA. FEMA works directly with the county emergency management and the state emergency management. So that's kind of how that relationship spans across. And then we work with our municipal partners under that emergency management and that declaration to assess all of their emergency needs in that response. The Army Corps of Engineers, you weren't going to see a bunch of people in Army fatigues around engineering. The Army Corps of Engineers hires contractors. In this case, Ash Britt was our primary contractor for debris removal for the county. And just last week, Ash Britt was awarded the contract for waterway debris removal. So the Army Corps contracts that work. And that's why, you'll see all of those trucks with the placards on the side that say Ash Britt. They are doing that debris removal work for the Army Corps with waterways, with private property. There are additional layers of complications when it comes to right of entry and doing so legally that we knew was going to take a long time. In Buncombe County, we have a high number of private roads and bridges. Those are additional complications that we have to work through in a coordinated process so that we are following the law. We can't just enter someone's property or a waterway and say, we're here from the government, we're here to help. So we're making sure that we're following all of those processes legally with the appropriate environmental regulators, with the approval from those private property owners to get that debris removed and to do it safely and legally. So we knew from the start of this process that it was going to be a measured approach of public debris or public right-of-way debris. That's going to be your easiest. And then it was going to be a months-long process to get to where we are. And we've been sharing that through this and weren't quite sure what the date was. So when we were able to get that secured last week to start both the private property debris removal process this week and the waterway process this week, huge wins in terms of our recovery response in Buncombe County. That was a really long response. I'm sorry. Additional questions? Fantastic. With that, we're going to close things out. Thank you for joining us here every week. We still see thousands of you tuning in. We don't have any plans to change this schedule every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. If you want to hear from a certain agency, group, partner about a certain topic, email your ideas to pio@buncombecounty.org. We do have, maybe we'll have the Parkway back hopefully soon for some more good news from them. Of course, we encourage you to stay up to date. Sign up for our alerts at buncombecounty.org/code red. And we will look forward to seeing y'all back here next Wednesday.